twins, phenomenal
Yes, Kahinde
vocalists, revolutionaries,
and
Kahinde and
Yohinda,
Taiwo.
Yohinda,
and
and they're beautiful.
and they are like night and day. Even twins have a
Are they
great.
fraternal or identical?
No, they're identical.
I thought so
And in
because
terms
I
of-
couldn't tell them apart.
People think we're triplets when we walk down the street. But in terms of their personalities and everything, they are very, very different. And we spend a lot of time looking at the visual differences between people,
Of course.
and
We're
making our
brainwashed like that.
stereotypical judgments to that, as opposed to looking into it inside people.
Yeah,
And the
judging a
thing
book by its cover,
that's right.
basically.
And the most important thing about people is the things you can't see, how they think,
Their character, their integrity, their honesty.
their honor, things
And
that
honesty.
words we rarely hear in
Yes.
this culture.
And
Honor and
respect.
integrity, respect.
All that good stuff.
Yes.
And love.
And love.
Are they loving?
Are they loving? Crucial. And for the most part, we are taught in this culture, you better not love yourself. Because if you love yourself, guess what? I can't sell you anything. And then where would consumerism be
Right.
if you don't think that you're inadequate? So if you don't think that something's wrong with you, I can't sell you anything. But if you really love you and you look in the mirror and you say, wow, I really like that person, I'm not buying too much.
Right.
And the cosmetic surgery and all that fashion faddism is out the window. And this country is
And
going to go down the
consumerism
tubes.
is eating us alive, isn't
Yes, but it's the only thing keeping America alive. That's the irony of it. Because the minute we stop buying, ooh,
it? The House of Cards.
we make a revolutionary
Falls apart.
change. This December, don't buy anything. The country will not make it. That's why they have to get you into that consumerism spirit as soon as possible.
Right.
But
Well,
that's
we're right at the time when I should open the live lines and
Oh,
see
my
if
gosh, you
our
go so fast.
viewers would like to ask you a question. And our number is on screen, and it's 621-4473. If you have a question for our wonderful guest, Phavia Kujichagulia.
yes, Kujichagulia.
And tell what Kujichagulia means.
You know,
Chagulia.
Kujichagulia is, for those who know, it's the second principle of Kwanzaa,
Right.
which is self-determination.
All right.
Now, I also changed my middle name to Kuumba, which is creativity. My father named me Phavia. I kept Phavia. And anybody, if you know Greek, when you put a P and a H together in Greek, that's a F sound. Phavia.
Right.
But I kept Kuumba and I kept Kujichagulia specifically because Marcus Garvey was always talking about identity. My mom, my grandmother, they were Garveyites. And they were always preaching about how wonderful Garvey is. So I studied everything I could on Marcus Garvey. And he kept saying, you have to name yourself. You have to know yourself.
Right.
And I looked at those principles of Kwanzaa and I thought, well, if you don't have self-determination, you can't do any of the others. You can't unify. You can't have cooperative economics. You can't do anything else unless you have self-determination. It's the only thing that even gets you out of the bed in the morning. You
I
have
heard
to be
that.
determined yourself to do whatever it's going to do. So I chose Kujichagulia
Right.
as my name because it's what is crucial about who I am.
Right. And
Doing it myself.
Phavia, you were taught at Stanford for a while. I don't know how long. Would you talk a little bit about
I
that
did.
experience?
That was really interesting because Stanford called me actually to come and teach a class there in ethnomusicology. Now today, ethnomusicology is a popular topic. My
Explain
daughter
what that
even
is
teaches.
for those who may not have heard that.
Ethnomusicology is the study of music as it relates to the social reality of a people in a certain time and place. So every culture has an ethnomusicological reality.
All right.
And based on your evolutionary process, your socialization, it's going to lead you to a certain type of path in your music, which we see explicitly here in the United States. A lot of people now are in the gospel because they don't know the difference between spirituals and gospels. Gospels is mainstream religious music. It's what the enslaver, notice I did not say master, it's what the enslaver said you could preach, talk about. So we don't hear spirituals. Spirituals are based on African chants and African images. Gospel is the watered down, whitewashed, accepted version of that.
Mm-hmm.
We eventually got into, later on down the line, blues, because we all had to go through the blues. And you have the emotional blues, and then you have the technical blues, which is just the blues structure in terms of music. But the things that we went through with the Ma'afa, the Holocaust, the enslavement here in this country, we had a lot of blues. And
For
we
sure.
put that in the music because
Some of
we
us still got the blues.
But it was not legal to talk about the pain of enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to find another way to relate that, so that
And
was the evolution of the
express
blues.
yourself. I love that song.
And then when we had the so-called the mixing, and we had the Dixieland music, and then we eventually got to African American liberation music. Most people call that jazz. Today it's called jazz. Initially, jazz was a derogatory term, J-A-S-S. It meant S-H-I-T.
Oh.
Stop all that jazz. Remember that? Cut out all that jazz.
Oh, okay.
But eventually it was turned around, and now we don't know that. Now we just call it jazz because it is African American revolutionary music. Most people are now, the mainstream culture is trying to tell us now that jazz is American music. No, it is African American music based on the African tonal structures, African chords, and the history of Africans in this culture. Sure, anyone can play that music.
Right.
However, the evolution of that music, the process by which it developed, is unique to our existence and evolution in this culture.
Right.
Ethnomusicology.
Just like most Latino music is.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they had called me because there was only one other gentleman teaching ethnomusicology in the States, and he was back east.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought me down there to teach ethnomusicology, and it was just...
And you taught another subject there, I believe.
And African civilizations.
All right.
It was wonderful.
And how long did you stay?
I was there for 2 years.
All right.
And then I went to a school called World College West, where they had international students come from around the world to study at that school. And they had a wonderful program because you had to spend 2 years in the States studying, and then you had to spend 2 years in another country studying. But whatever you studied had to be based on environmentalism. So it couldn't be for profit, for the pure spectacle of consumerism. It had to be about improving the quality of life on the planet, which is why I loved that program.
I heard that.
And it was really interesting because I had one student there who was always so eager to promote the wonders of slavery and how slavery was such a wonderful thing. And I spent a lot of classes keeping the rest of the students away from him, trying not to jump on this guy.
Ooh.
And I didn't find out till way down in the course of the semester that he was born and raised in South Africa, and he had come here to study. But by the time he finished my class, he signed up with the Communist Party, and he went to work to get Lenore Fulani elected to the presidency. Most people don't know that there was a second black woman who ran